You guys remember back in the day when we knew who our Attorney General was in Kenya, from the times of Charles Njonjo Mugabe to the times of Matthew Guy, I think Muli, to the times of Amos Wako. We knew who the Attorney General was. To the times of Githu Muigai, we knew who the Attorney General was. It was very clear. To the times of, Kihara Kariuki, Paul Kihara Kariuki. And then somehow we got to J.B. Muturi and we knew who the Attorney General was. But now, we don't know who the Attorney General is. You have to Google, actually, for you to find out who the Attorney General of Kenya is. But do you know why it was easy to know who the Attorney General was? It was because the Attorney General did what Attorney Generals are supposed to do. Charles Njonjo, controversial figure, but he did his job. The man advised Kenyatta, he advised Moi very effectively. Then came Amos. There was a number of others in between, actually, but we don't remember them because it was like a stint, maybe 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years. We don't remember them because a majority of them, as much as they existed at that time, some of them were actually appointed on the basis of what is happening currently, just to be there for sure, and that's what is happening to Kenya. Do you know that we have made history in Kenya by appointing the first Attorney General who is a woman, but we don't know who she is? Let me tell you guys a story time. There's times when I have been invited, like in the past, you get invited to certain places and you know for sure that you're not being invited for any other reason but just to serve. My skin is very dark, so some spaces that I have been invited to, I knew that I was just there to serve as to play the diversity card, because of just what you see when you arrive at the space. And sometimes it's not actually coming from a place of that we love you or that we want you to serve a specific purpose for which you know what your calling or your purpose is, but just that you're there to serve as a diversity card. And I hated that. I never liked that whole thought, because every time I would end up in the space and you just realize, here I am to serve as someone who is fulfilling this diversity thing for whoever is organizing the event or whoever is organizing the space, to feel like they have attained their purpose of inviting a Daki, or inviting an African. But of course I know that I have a lot of value to contribute, and most of the time I feel like I deliver on that value. That aside, now when you look at, for instance, Dorcas is the current Attorney General of Kenya, and actually as I was saying these Attorney Generals, I was reminding myself, oh no, the plural of Attorney General is Attorneys General. And the Republic of Kenya has had this kind of thing happening to it quite a lot. I feel like Dorcas was wanted to serve the purpose of advising the president. I feel like Dorcas was appointed just to serve as to play the diversity card, so that the guy at the top doesn't have the guilt conscience in him telling him that his government is not as diverse as it should be. So he was basically doing it to fulfill that, to feel proud that and then when he goes out there, he can say, oh, we even have women in government. We have women taking center stage in the running of the country. However, if I ask any person here, you can actually put it in the comment section and tell me, what is that one thing that Dorcas Oduor has done? Moment of silence. What is that one thing that Dorcas Agik Oduor has done for the Republic of Kenya. The Constitution is being defiled left, right, and center. A Constitution is a very sacred document. I remember a time when Uhuru Kenyatta actually almost broke down the Constitution, and his uncle Paul Kihara Kariuki had to tell him he advised him to actually pull back. You know, Githu Muigai, he was controversial. He was the cousin of Uhuru Kenyatta. But when it came to things that mattered, law, you know, the law is sacred. The man stood by his word. And as much as he defended some of the crazy things that we know, he remained true to the purpose for which he was appointed, which is that you are the conscience of the president. That conscience is functional. It has become dysfunctional because I feel the way we see things unfolding in the country, the conscience of the country has gone dead and deaf and dumb, because she's not saying anything. She's not speaking about the Constitution. She's not advising the political class to avoid certain rhetorics. She's not addressing any particular social ills that are being perpetrated legally in the country. You know, Charles Njonjo was very controversial, but he was a man of his word. Actually, I remember in my history class, one of our teachers was saying she doesn't feel like Charles Njonjo would have ever accepted to guide Moi, ever. Simply because Charles Njonjo he was controversial in his thought processes. When it came to where the law mattered, the man was very clear and he was very principled. Amos Wako, controversial as he was of course a gun for hire at some point, because Moi actually utilized Amos Wako to commit certain atrocities. But we remember him because when it came to matters that mattered in the nation for the well-being of the country, Amos Wako spoke up. And he was also very vocal. And he would respond to the Law Society of Kenya. The Law Society of Kenya was not the conscience of the nation. It was the assistant conscience of the nation. Because when it came to certain issues, certain legal matters that really were of public interest, the Law Society of Kenya would either call the Attorney General to task, or the Attorney General would actually call the Law Society of Kenya to task when it came to interpretation of the law. But right now, you tell me, do you feel like Dorcas is the conscience of the country? Is she the legal soundboard for the government currently? Or is she there just to look like we have a female leader? But like, this is one of the things that we really have to look at critically. Yes, the 2/3, I am a believer in women leadership, but I am also a very strong believer in not appointing people just based on gender, but competence. Like, if we are choosing women, we should also choose competent women. Just as we look at men, we should be looking at men who are competent and morally sound, but also we should look at women who are competent. We have a woman Attorney General. We have a woman Law Society of Kenya president, and she is doing so much more than our Attorney General should be doing. Things that Dorcas should be doing is what Faith Odhiambo is doing for the country. We have a female Chief Justice, but we don't even hear her. We only hear her when things are not going on according to how she wants them to be. And this is like personal interests. When her things are touched, that's when we hear her. So, do you feel like Kenya has a legal soundboard right now? Please put it in the comment. What's Dorcas's one thing that she has contributed to the growth of the country legally? Moment of silence.